Welcome to episode 7 in the first series, Planning and Curriculum Design for Next Generation Teaching. By the end of this episode, you should be able to identify the 5 most common AI co-planning pitfalls and how to sidestep each one, understand what genuine critical AI use in planning looks like in practice, apply a 3-stage co-planning process that keeps you firmly in the professional driving seat. Use AI for iterative planning dialogue and not just one-shot generation. Reflect honestly on your professional identity in an AI-augmented teaching world and leave with a complete personalised AI planning framework for Series 2 and beyond. 7 episodes ago, you might have opened a lesson plan by staring at a blank document for 15 minutes, uncertain of where to start. Over this series, we've rebuilt the architecture of how teachers think about planning. We started with what makes a great lesson plan. We moved through backward design, long-term sequencing, inclusion, and last episode, we gave you a complete AI prompt framework you could use from Monday morning. This penultimate episode is different. It's not a how-to, it's a how to do it well. Because here's something I need to be direct with you about. AI is a genuinely powerful planning partner, and it can also make you a worse teacher if you use it carelessly. This episode is about the difference between those two outcomes. By the end, you'll have a complete picture of how to co-plan with AI in a way that elevates your professional practice rather than eroding it. Now, here are 5 specific pitfalls that can happen when teachers use AI for planning. These aren't hypothetical, they're patterns drawn from how real teachers use these tools when they're tired, they're under pressure, or simply haven't been shown a better way. Pitfall 1 is the copy-paste trap. This is the most common one. You ask AI for a lesson plan, you get something back that looks plausible, you copy it, you paste it into your planner, and you use it without meaningfully adapting it for your class, your curriculum sequence, or your professional context. The problem isn't that AI produced bad content, the problem is that you didn't interrogate it. You outsourced your professional judgment to a tool that has never met your students, doesn't know your school's context, and can't distinguish between what sounds right and what actually is right for your learners. So please watch out for this. AI output that looks finished often isn't. Plausible is not the same as correct or appropriate. Always ask, does this reflect my students, my curriculum sequence, and my school's context? If you haven't changed anything in the AI output, you haven't co-planned, you've simply delegated. Pitfall 2 is the accuracy illusion. AI is trained to produce confident, fluent text. This is both its greatest strength and its most significant risk in education. A factual error in history lesson, a miscalculated example in a maths resource, a misattributed quote in an English lesson. All of these can be generated by AI with exactly the same confident tone as correct information. Subject specialists have an advantage here. You will often catch errors that a generalist wouldn't, but you still need to check every time without exception. Remember, AI hallucinates. It generates plausible sounding but false information on occasion, often without any signal that it's doing so. So please check dates, statistics, quotations, source attributions, and any other subject-specific claims. Pitfall 3 is the differentiation illusion. Episode 4 of this series explored what genuine differentiation and adaptation looks like. Now here's the trap. AI can generate what looks like differentiation or adaptation for foundation, core, and extension tiers, and it does this extremely quickly. And sometimes it's genuinely useful, but often it produces tiers that differ only in length and not in genuine cognitive scaffolding. Effective differentiation or scaffolding means different thinking pathways, not just different word counts. Always evaluate AI-generated tasks against your knowledge of what your specific students actually need. After AI generates tiered tasks, apply this test. Does the foundation tier, or the students with lower ability, does it genuinely reduce the cognitive load for them, or does it just use shorter sentences? Ask AI, what misconceptions might a foundation learner have with this task? That answer will tell you whether the tier is genuinely scaffolded. Then there's pitfall 4, the specification drift. This one is particularly dangerous at Key Stage 4 and Key Stage 5. AI does not have precise, up-to-date knowledge of specific exam board specifications. It may generate content that is broadly correct but misses the specific command words, assessment objectives, or the mark scheme criteria your students need to practice. An AI-generated 8-mark question for Edexcel history for GCSE, for example, might look entirely appropriate, but if it uses the wrong structure, the wrong word command, or targets the wrong assessment objective, it actively harms students' exam preparation. So always cross-reference AI-generated exam content against your actual specification document. In some subjects particularly, command words matter enormously in exam preparation. For example, describe and explain have different mark scheme implications. When in doubt, AI drafts it and you verify it against the specification before it goes anywhere near students. And pitfall 5 is the professional identity erosion. This is the subtlest and in some ways the most important pitfall of all. If you use AI to plan every lesson, every resource, every task without applying your own thinking, you risk losing the very thing that makes you an excellent teacher, your deep professional knowledge of your subject, your students and your craft. AI should make you a more efficient teacher. It should not make you a less knowledgeable, less reflective, less professionally engaged one. The teachers who use AI best are the ones who use it to free up mental space for deeper professional thinking, not the ones who use it to avoid thinking at all. The evidence for this is the Chartered College of Teaching in 2024. Teacher professional identity and subject mastery amongst the strongest predictors of long-term pupil outcomes. Hattie and Yates in 2014 says, expertise develops through deliberate professional reflection and not through the delegation of thinking. And the OECD in 2023 says, AI literacy in education requires teachers to actively develop critical evaluation skills and not passive consumption of AI outputs. Now I want to show you what genuine AI co-planning actually looks like, and not the pitfall version, but the professional version. Genuine co-planning is a 3-stage process. It's not a one prompt, one response transaction. It's a dialogue, one where you bring your professional knowledge and AI brings its generative capability, and together you produce something better than either could have done. Stage 1 is that you lead and set the professional frame. Before you write a single AI prompt, you make the professional decisions. What is the learning objective? What do students already know? What comes next in the sequence? What specific needs does this class have? And what does success look like for this lesson? These questions can't be answered by AI. They require your subject knowledge, your knowledge of your students, and your curriculum awareness. You answer them first, then AI helps you to execute against them. So here's a prompt and you can try it now. I am planning a lesson on, then you say the topic, for, and that's when you insert your year group and subject and specification. Here is my learning objective. Then you add your objective. Then the key prior knowledge that students have already. This is where you list what they already know. Then key misconceptions I expect. Again, you then list a couple. And your specific class content and context, which is where you add your notes. Before generating anything, reflect back to me. Any gaps or tensions in my learning objective? Any prior knowledge I may have missed? Any additional misconceptions worth planning for? Notice what the prompt does. It doesn't ask AI to generate the lesson. It asks AI to critically engage with your professional thinking first, to act as a thinking partner and not a content factory. Stage 2 is AI generates. Draft materials against your frame. Once your professional frame is set, now you use AI to draft materials. lesson structures, activities, questions, tasks, and differentiated and scaffolded resources. This is where the time saving happens. You're not starting from a blank page, you're directing a capable assistant who has your professional context loaded in. So this is an AI prompt that you can try. Using the learning objective and context above, generate 1. A 5-question retrieval starter and include answer key. 2. A main teaching input structure with 3 key teaching points. 3. A tiered independent task at foundation, core and extension. 4. A plenary that checks specifically whether students have met the learning objectives. Keep everything aligned to, and then make sure you put in the specification that you're using, and flag any content I should verify independently. Stage 3 is you review and apply the professional filter that you have. This stage is a non-negotiable. You read everything AI produced, you check the facts, you check the specification alignment, you check that differentiated and scaffolded tasks are genuinely adapted and not just length differentiated. You check that the language, tone and demand level are right for your specific students. Then you edit, because draft 1 is AI's work. Draft 2, the thing that goes in front of your student, is yours. So this is an AI prompt that you can use. Stage 3, dialogue prompt, iterative refinement. The foundation task you generated doesn't reduce cognitive loads sufficiently. My foundation students need, and then you add what the needs are. Revise the task to include a partially completed example, sentence starters for each paragraph, a vocabulary bank of the 6 key terms they'll need. Then, the retrieval question 3 contains a factual inaccuracy. Say what it is. Please correct it and check questions 1 and 5 for similar issues. Example in practice. A real-world example, for example, a history teacher using 3-stage co-planning. Stage 1 is that the teacher sets the objective. Students explain why the League of Nations failed. She prompts AI to identify gaps. AI flags your objective doesn't specify whether students should prioritize structural or contextual causes. This affects how you adapt your teaching. The teacher refines her objective based on this. Stage 2. AI generates tiered tasks, retrieval starter, and a source analysis scaffold. This takes AI about 20 seconds. It would have taken the teacher possibly about 30 minutes. Stage 3 is the teacher checks and catches that AI has misattributed a quotation to Wilson when it was actually Lloyd George, and fixes it. She adjusts the foundation tier for her specific EHCP student, a total review time of 8 minutes. So the lesson quality is significantly higher than she could have produced alone in the same total time. So let me distill everything so far in this series into 7 principles for AI co-planning. These are your professional code for using AI in planning in a way you can stand behind. Principle 1, you are always the curriculum expert. AI knows about your subject, but it does not know your curriculum, and those are different things. Your sequencing decision, specification priorities, and school's curriculum intent belong to you. Principle 2 is interrogate before you use. Every AI output deserves a professional challenge. Is it accurate? Is it right for my students? Does it align with my specification? Is it scaffolded and adapted or just shorter? Principle 3, the use of AI for the production and not the thinking. The intellectual work of planning, deciding what to teach, in what order, in what depth, with what emphasis, belongs to you. AI is most valuable when it executes against thinking you've already done. Principle 4 is iterate, don't just generate. One prompt is never enough. The most effective AI planning is a dialogue. You prompt, you evaluate, you redirect, and you refine. Each iteration gets closer to something genuinely excellent. Principle 5, your professional knowledge is the quality filter. AI doesn't know what you want and what you know about your students. It doesn't know that Year 10 Period 3 struggles with extended writing. It doesn't know that your 3 EAL students need pre-teaching of key vocabulary, but you do. Build that knowledge into your prompts and apply it in your review. Principle 6, protect your subject expertise. Make time for the professional reading, subject development, and curriculum thinking that build your expertise. AI fluency should free up time for this work, not replace it. A teacher who stops developing their subject knowledge has given AI something it can't fix. And principle 7 is be transparent. Know your school's policy on AI use. Be honest with colleagues about how you use these tools. As AI becomes embedded in professional practice, transparency and professional accountability will matter more and not less. So, there are 7 principles on the slide. You print them or take a screenshot or write them out and keep them somewhere visible when you're planning. And when you feel uncertain about an AI output, run it through principles 2 and 5 first. Potentially share these principles with your department because consistent practice matters as much as individual practice. So here is something that I think matters more than any prompt or framework. The thing that makes you an excellent teacher is not replaceable by AI. It's your accumulated professional knowledge of your subject, your students, and your craft. It's your relational intelligence, the way you read a room, adapt in real time, notice the student who's struggling before they've said a word. It's your moral purpose, the reason you chose this profession and the commitment you bring to it every day. AI cannot do any of these things. It can draft your lesson plans, but it can't teach your lessons. The risk is not that AI will replace teachers. The risk is that teachers who use AI carelessly will gradually stop developing the professional capacities that no technology can replicate. That is the pitfall worth guarding against most seriously. Use AI, of course, to reclaim your time. Use that time to read, to reflect, to develop your subject knowledge, to build relationships with your students, to think carefully about your curriculum. That is what the technology is for. So ask AI to critique your thinking first. In stage 1 of the co-planning process, the most important principle is this: you lead. Before AI generates anything, you set the professional frame it must work within. This slide shows the stage 1 prompt, and it's designed to turn AI into a genuine thinking partner rather than a content machine. So your context section. You begin by giving AI the core teaching context. What topic are you teaching? Which year group? What subject? And what specification are they following? This instantly anchors the conversation in your real curriculum and not in a generic lesson plan territory. Then the objective. You state your learning objective. This is crucial. AI should never decide what your students need to learn. You define the destination and AI helps build the route. Prior knowledge. Then list what students have already covered. This creates continuity and ensure any generated materials align with what students actually know, rather than starting from scratch or assuming the wrong baseline. Expected misconceptions. You also outline any misconceptions you anticipate. This is one of the most valuable aspects of teacher expertise and one AI cannot intuit on its own. By naming misconceptions, you prepare AI to build resources that actively prevent or challenge them. Class context. Finally, you add details about your specific class. This might include SEND considerations, EAL needs, ability range, or anything else that shapes how your students learn. This is where co-planning becomes tailored rather than generic. The reflect back task. After giving the context, you ask AI to reflect back to you, specifically to identify any gaps in your learning objective, any prior knowledge you may have overlooked, and additional misconceptions that might be worth planning for. And importantly, you tell it not to generate materials yet. Why this matters? Because this prompt turns AI into a diagnostic tool. It helps surface blind spots in your planning before you invest time creating activities or resources. Instead of fixing problems after 30 minutes of generation, you fix them at the design stage where your expertise matters the most. This is how co-planning becomes smarter, faster, and safer, with you firmly in control. So this slide brings together the 7 core principles that underpin safe, effective AI co-planning. Think of these as your professional code, the habits that keep you firmly in control while still benefiting from the speed and flexibility of AI tools. You are always the curriculum expert. Interrogate every output before you use it. Use AI for production and not for thinking. Iterate, prompt, evaluate, redirect, and refine. Your knowledge of your student is the filter. Protect and grow your subject expertise. And be transparent about how you use AI. These 7 principles keep AI in its rightful place, a powerful assistant and not a decision maker. So, these are some of the things that AI cannot do. Because while AI can accelerate planning and free up your time, it cannot replace the core capacities that define you as a professional educator. Accumulated professional knowledge. The first capacity that AI cannot replicate is your accumulated professional knowledge. This includes your understanding of your subject, curriculum, and how students learn, all built through years of deliberate practice. AI can process information, but it doesn't understand your students, specification, or your classroom, and that depth of insight is irreplaceable. And there is a risk here. When AI starts doing the thinking for you, your professional expertise can weaken over time. Secondly, relational intelligence, arguably the heart of teaching. This is your ability to read the room, know who's struggling, and adapt in real time to what learners need. AI cannot notice, it cannot sense, it cannot feel, and it cannot respond to the human reality of your classroom. Every moment of trust you build, every adjustment you make for a learner, that's uniquely human and beyond the reach of any algorithm. And lastly, moral purpose and craft. Finally, AI cannot replace your moral purpose or your craft. This is the reason you chose teaching in the first place. It's the standard you hold yourself to and the investment you make in every student's future. AI doesn't care about outcomes. It doesn't hope, it doesn't believe, or it doesn't commit the way you do. Your moral purpose is irreplaceable, and it's the anchor that keeps AI in its rightful place, a tool and not a teacher. Use AI to reclaim your time, but use that saved time to deepen the capacities no technologies can replicate. That is how you stay empowered, stay professional, and stay in control. So we almost have a complete AI enhanced planning toolkit, one that keeps you in control, protects your professional judgment, and elevates your practice rather than replacing it. Co-planning with AI without sourcing your judgment. AI can help you plan faster, but it must never replace your thinking. You lead the process. AI supports the execution. Your professional judgment is the quality filter that makes everything safe, accurate, and appropriate for your learners. Every major pitfall, from accuracy issues to specification drift, can be avoided when you apply the 3-stage co-planning model. When you lead first, let AI generate seconds, and review third, you stay firmly in control of both the process and the outcome. And above all, your expertise, your relational intelligence, and your moral purpose are irreplaceable. These are the capacities that no technology can replicate, and they're at the core of what makes teaching a profound human profession. So if you found this useful, please feel free to click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I look forward to seeing you for the last episode in the first series on curriculum design.